Welcome to the underground, you rebel scum. This is the American Expat, and what a crazy, crazy world we're living in right now, and what a lot of crazy stuff that we've got to talk about. I mean, I'll just pull up my little list here. Of course, the Epstein list stuff that just keeps going on and on, that I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom of. But some of the things that are on that list, the people that are on that list, the border. Now, that's one that's kind of blown me away. It's always been something where I figured, the one side gets in and they kind of turn a blind eye to illegal immigration, but I never expected that they would actually be facilitating it. This is where it's kind of crossed that line into, oh my gosh, they're actually, pushing this thing. They're actually doing it. The presidential ballots, of course, we've got presidential candidates, the leading presidential candidates being taken off the ballots. Now, Republicans in some places are threatening to take Joe Biden off the ballot. I really don't think that they need to do that. I just can't imagine him winning anything, but this is coming into play. The news is literally propaganda. 10-foot aliens, people are talking. Of course, I don't think that, I have no idea what's going on with that, but aliens in general, I mean, there's some crazy stuff. Crazy people shooting things, people, you name it. War in Europe, war drums in Asia and South America, all of that crazy stuff coming up in just a second, so stick around. Thanks for sticking with us. Before we get too far into the video, or live stream in this case, I would like to encourage each of you to join in the conversation. I'm not an expert at anything, so you probably know more about some of this stuff than I do. Do us all a favor, share your knowledge by joining in the chat or by leaving your comments down below if you're catching it after the fact. And of course, if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Yes, there he is, Chairman Mao, the young Chairman Mao, saying to join our cause, not the cause of socialism or the communism thing. We're not communists here, but to join in this whole crazy thing, because why not? The world has gone absolutely insane. Where to even begin with this list that I was talking about just a minute ago? I'm not even sure where to start. I guess we could start with the Epstein list. I mean, I've heard a few names pop up. Of course, the number one being Bill Clinton. I mean, we're talking about at least prior to this, and probably still with some people, a very popular president. I mean, supposedly the economy was doing incredibly well under Bill Clinton. Of course, a lot of us know that he sold us out to every country in the world and ruined the economy later on. I mean, at the time, though, things were booming. Very popular, and now he's coming up all over the place in this Jeffrey Epstein stuff, which apparently he tried to cover up, if I'm understanding the news that's been coming out. He actually went in, allegedly. I don't want Bill Clinton showing up at my house, or he probably wouldn't show up himself. He's probably not going to show up at all, or nobody's going to show up, I hope. I mean, what kind of a weird world do we live in here? You never know. But, he shows up at Vanity Fair and tells him not to run the story about his friend, Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, this has been denied by Vanity Fair and, of course, Bill Clinton. But, that's the story, that this happened, that he actually went in to cover it up. And big surprise. If it ends up being true, of course, his name would be all over the Jeffrey. That's what we were expecting. Maybe some of you know a little bit more about this craziness than I do. I don't know. I haven't been getting my hopes up that any sort of. It's just weird. I mean, how could go back maybe 5 years or so? Let's say when I was back in China. When I was back in China, somebody talking about this stuff, it would have been insanity, right? Oh, there's this guy and the elites of the world go to his island and do all these horrible things and, Pizzagate and all of that stuff. And, that would have been like, okay. Yeah, it'd be really horrible if that was true. But It just seems like something that's out of a bad spy book or something. Now it turns out that no, this is reality. This is actually happening. It really did happen. I don't know what to say to that. I mean, literally, like, we're living in a crazy, weird reality is broken. That's all I can say. The Matrix, something happened, and the Matrix is broken. I don't know who broke it, but somebody broke the Matrix. They need to get it back on. We need to call up Agent Smith and tell him, to reboot the system or something, because this is absolutely insane. That this is real. That this stuff has actually happened, and may be continuing to happen somewhere. I mean, we're talking members of the royal family. Of course, that's kind of been out there for a little bit, but who would have imagined us being here? I guess somebody imagined it. What's his name? Imagined it, or well, I don't know if he imagined it or if he has really good sources, but wow, this is just absolutely crazy. Somebody had mentioned speaking of the comments, in the previous video, which I put out just a little bit ago today. Let me see if I can pull it up here. You'll have to excuse me while I pull this up, since I didn't have that prepared. Shame on me. But let's see if we can pull up the comments from the video earlier, because some people were saying some interesting things here. Going to click on the content tab, pull this up, and let's see what the comments have to say. If it'll show me everything, let's see. And of course it doesn't. But yes, here's one from Only Ford 69. Talk about the Jeffrey Epstein list. When it comes to the list, there is a client list. There is enormous amounts of evidence apparently that the FBI has. So they know about the probably everything. These crazy people. They probably looked at it all. And they probably do have a list of all of the perpetrators and know exactly what their crimes are. If Bill Clinton really was there doing these horrible things because he, according to the person in the case, said that he likes them young, well, then they probably have the evidence there at the FBI, but I wouldn't count on the FBI to come in and do anything. I mean, the only time they actually make arrests or do anything is when they actually set up the crime. It seems that that's what they're good at these days. They bring people in, kind of like that kidnapping case with the governor over there in Michigan. The whole thing was kind of set up by the FBI, and there were a couple of guys that kind of got caught up in it. So they create a crime so that they can come in and be the hero. It's kind of like, I don't know, the arson firefighter or something like that. They set the fire and then they rush in to save the day. That's the FBI these days, unfortunately. It's kind of weird because I grew up and I knew people that worked at the FBI, and they don't strike me as that type, but maybe there's this weird rogue faction. This is something else that's crazy about the world today, right? Who would have imagined the FBI having some weird rogue faction that goes around trying to arrest people for political purposes, political opponents, or simply goes in and makes up crimes or creates scenarios in which they can then rush in to be the hero and say, look, we got them. We got those guys. We got those terrorists. We got, whatever, domestic terrorist stuff. Oh, that's going to get me in trouble for saying that probably. That seems to be the case these days. That's about all that we ever hear from the FBI is that. I thought they were supposed to, stop bank robbers and that sort of thing. But, it doesn't seem to be the case. And yes, Peter Ehinger, I see that. Everyone has lost their minds. Absolutely they have. It's just absolutely insane out there. That's another thing. Going back to the list, I never imagined things being this way. I never imagined that, when I left the United States, there were some people that were really into politics, and typically people avoided talking to them because, those are really awkward and dangerous conversations to get into. Somebody, has very strong opinions about stuff. But that was just, a few people. It wasn't like, everybody. Now I have to worry, like if somebody's trying to talk to me at the store, let's say I'm, the cashier is making small talk and they bring up a topic. It could be anything. I mean, they could be talking about Transformers. And I don't mean the people that change from one gender to another. I mean, the giant robots that fight each other. And I would be nervous from that. Like, I don't know, what should I say here? I don't know. This could turn into a political discussion somehow, and I could find myself in an argument that I don't want to be in. You never know. Just right down to the stuff that you're buying. You just never know what's going to happen. That's the world that we live in now. Everybody is completely absorbed into all this craziness, myself included. I can't stand it. When I was out of the country, it was really nice. It was like being able to take a breath of fresh air, not have to worry about any of the political stuff. And then you come back and it's like it just sucks you right back in. So that's all there is. That's all that's being talked about in the media. That's all that's being talked about. I try to find other stuff. I try to find other stuff on YouTube, for example, and I can't. The algorithm it's like it just wants me to see this stuff. I mean, when it's not showing me my son's cartoon stuff, Peppa Pig and Ben and Holly's Magical Kingdom or whatever it is. Anyone who's a parent of a small child probably is familiar with those. But, yeah, that's the kind of stuff it shows me. All this political nonsense. Lately, it actually tried to show me some stuff from the other extreme, and I'm like, why is it showing me this weird stuff? Trans people going after. It's weird. I guess that I didn't know this until then, but apparently there's another, what would you call it? There's another part of YouTube and the internet that exists, which is people on that side confronting people that I guess they think are too conservative or something like that. People on the right. And it started trying to send that to me for some reason. And I'm like, what is this? Why is it showing me this? I think that it broke or something at that moment because it's never shown it to me again. But it was bizarre to see that exists. And, speaking of which, there's been a number of shootings in the country. And a significant number of those shootings have involved people on that side who feel like they need to go and confront, I don't know, it's a bizarre world, once again, that we're living in. Just absolutely crazy to find ourselves in this position with crazy people going around carrying out acts of violence. I don't know what's happened to the country, but I suspect it has something to do with social media and the algorithms. In the video earlier, I mentioned that I'd heard about Al Gore talking about how the algorithms are destroying society. And, for a moment, I agreed. I'm like, oh my gosh, Al Gore is right. The algorithms are absolutely destroying society. Of course, then he went on to keep talking and prove that he actually meant something else. But, they would like to control the algorithms. I think that they're meddling with the algorithms is what's messed everything up. It's probably what's led to all the craziness since 2016, all the weird people that come out and hate Donald Trump and all of that. When you actually confront them and ask them why, all they can tell you is that he's Hitler incarnate or reincarnated or something along those lines. And they're like, what's your reasoning? They have no reasoning. It's just... that's what's been programmed into them, I guess. It's a bizarre world. Nobody's doing any thinking. Nobody's doing any of that. It's just crazy. But here's another one. There's I keep seeing this pop up in the news as well. There is a column of thousands of these so-called migrants. I don't mean to throw up the air quotes. Just marching toward our border. It's bizarre. They've got flags and they're banners and they're marching toward our border, and it looks like an army coming at us. I know people keep bringing that up, like we're being invaded by outside forces, and they're being aided and abetted by the government that we have right now. And I have to think it does look like that when they show this. How does that? I mean, I think of like people coming across illegally. They don't usually want to draw a lot of attention to themselves. The whole idea of hiring the coyote is that they know the patrols. They know where to get across so that they don't get seen. But this is a giant column of thousands of people marching, and they're waving flags and stuff. Their goal is to be seen. It's very organized, and it's my understanding that there's a lot of NGOs and groups from the the United Nations that are giving assistance to these people and telling them exactly what to do, and it's just bizarre. In the past, I've when the other side gets into office, it's like they talk about you can't talk bad about illegal immigration, and I just figured they turn a blind eye, right? Like, oh, yeah, there's people coming across the border, but we're not going to deal with that now. They have crossed beyond that to the realm of absolute craziness, where they're actually helping them. I mean, you've probably seen the videos, as well as I have, of them using like tractors and stuff to lift up the barbed wire, removing the barriers. The thing that really, really set me off with this one was that they're actually suing in court to be able to continue to break the barriers down to let people across. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard of this. So the Biden administration is suing to be able to continue to break the law. It's absolutely crazy. And Joe Biden has the gall to come out. Well, he has no idea what he's saying. But he comes out and says, oh, I'll fix the border if you guys would just give me some money to help me out. And it's like, you're the person we need to be protecting the border from. What are we going to give you money for? You're the one tearing the border apart. It's absolutely insane. But, just crazy. Let's see. Everything, all famous people. Yeah, that list. It's full of all kinds of famous people. Now, I know a lot of them, they're coming in, because I guess, I'm not sure exactly what was going on, if the judge or whoever was just going off a list of celebrities and asking, was this person there? Was this person there? Because there's a few people that come up in this list that apparently had nothing to do with the activities that were taking place there that are also in the list. So, I don't know. Just crazy world that we live in. Let's see. What's another one here? The government mind control. Oh no. Wait, we'll go back to this. The president being taken off the ballot. And by that, I mean Donald Trump. Literally, they've gotten to the point where they're so afraid that he might win that they're going to take him off the ballot. This is also the realm of craziness, where, I look at this happening in other countries and you kind of like, yeah, those silly people over there and their corruption. But it would never happen in the United States. We're such a, upright people. Our government is by the people, for the people, and of the people, and all of that stuff. It would never happen here. Those silly, corrupt people in those third world countries. And then you turn around, it's happening right here in the United States. Everything that I have ever told anybody in China, let's say, that I've talked to about how the United States, is such a moral and good place and has all of these values, and we would never have this problem. And then there it is. By the way, is anybody actually able to hear me right now? I can't see if my okay, it's working. I see. I was worried there for a second. But it's crazy to me that this is happening, and now they're talking about doing it in other places. They're talking about taking Joe Biden off of the ballot. Our country is a total joke at this point. I mean, is that what it really comes down to? Well, we'll just take your guy off the ballot. Well, then we're going to take your guy off the ballot. I mean, do we have anything left? So, before we were talking about, election integrity and all of that, a lot of people saying, that believe there was some funny business with the election the last time around. Well, what do you call this? I mean, this is insane. Now, how are you supposed to have an election if everybody's just removing the other guy from the ballot? You can't even that doesn't even work. They're saying they're doing it, to save democracy. It's like, well, I don't think that's how you save democracy, by just taking away all the choices. That's kind of what they do in North Korea. They like have, hey, we're just going to take away your choice. Everybody gets to vote. This is a democracy, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. So you do get to vote. It's just that there's only one choice. And if you don't vote for him, well, you're going to vote for them because there's nobody else. But I don't know what they would do. I guess if there was another option, just to say there was another option, you go vote for that, you're done, You're going to be going to those camps in the mountains and never seen again for several generations. But that seems to be the direction that we're going. Well, we'll just take everybody off the ballot, so you have to choose Joe Biden or whoever else it happens to be because, we're not going to allow you to have any choice. That tells me that we're not dealing with an opposing side necessarily. We're dealing with a tyrannical government. This is tyranny. It's absolutely tyranny what they're doing. I don't know if anybody else has looked around and recognized that, but you're living in a tyrannical state where the government no longer represents the will of the people, and they are literally shoving it down your throat. You're going to take it whether you like it or not. And even to the point of just removing your person from the... I wonder where this will go. If the Supreme Court comes out, which apparently they're going to be taking the case themselves, if they come out and they say, no, he has to be on the ballot, what's their next move? I mean, this is already crazy enough. Where does this go from here? How bad is it going to get? If they're willing to do this, what else are they willing to do? I sometimes worry about that. Where is this going to go? I guess we'll have to wait and see. We don't have that much longer to wait. We're already into 2024. This is officially the election year now, so I guess buckle up and we'll see what happens. I guess we've had a little bit of a glimpse of it. As this Jeffrey Epstein stuff was coming out that we were talking about, apparently there's something that happened at a mall in Miami. I still have no idea what it's about. I remember seeing some images on the internet of lots and lots of police cars. And I was like, oh, that's weird. That's a lot of police cars. But that was about all that I saw of it. And then later on, I saw people talking about 10-foot aliens. And I'm like, what is going on here? Maybe somebody watching knows a little bit more about it. But I don't know, 10-foot aliens in a Miami mall? Or I also saw something about shadow people, which I thought that was like on those Travel Channel ghost shows. They talk about shadow people. What exactly is going on here? What did happen at the mall there? That's a good question. Or was that just another distraction? Maybe it was some of Bill Clinton's people trying to, no, somebody had the list over there. They were going to get him. Who really knows? But it was bizarre. I haven't seen anything else. But there was a lot of police cars. You'd think there'd be something. Maybe it was because everybody was concerned with all the shootings, or I also wonder if it's related to these bomb threats that were being called into various government buildings, if something didn't happen along those lines, that the police were spooked, so they showed up in mass. You would think that... I have no idea. It is really bizarre, but that's what has been going around the internet, that there's 10-foot tall aliens or shadow people wandering around the mall as these Epstein court case documents are coming out, naming names, supposedly. Although there's been some dead people that have shown up on the list. The most bizarre one was Stephen Hawking, because I don't know what he would do on the island, but I guess supposedly he was there. Of course, Michael Jackson. If you're going to have a list of people like this visiting a place like that, of course Michael Jackson is going to have to show up on that list. Whether it's real or not, apparently, I don't know. I'm going to have to look at that. Maybe he was one of the ones where they're like, did Michael Jackson show up? No, Michael Jackson didn't show up. I'll have to look a little bit more into that before I can say too much about it, but that was interesting just the same. And this is interesting. My numbers are not... I don't know if anybody is actually trying to join in the conversation here on the chat, but it doesn't seem to be moving. The numbers here on YouTube are not moving. For some reason, maybe it's frozen for some purpose. Who knows why. But, oh no, it just jumped a little bit. So I guess it is working. We'll have to see. But if it's not bad enough, we just found out that the government has been engaged in mind control using social media and the internet. Of course, they couldn't do it directly. They have to use another country. I guess they tell them what they need to have done. And then the British intelligence gets on the American internet and tries to manipulate all of us to believe in whatever it is that they want us to believe. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. I guess we do the favor back to their people. So if you happen to be in the UK or something, or Canada or somewhere like that, then, you're welcome, I guess. The U.S. Intelligence apparatus is on there manipulating your thoughts of your people as we speak. And they're doing it to us as well. So, yeah, get off of social media, probably. I don't like the idea of anybody being able to mess around with my mind or the way that I think. So I have kind of gotten off of social media for the most part. It's pointless to be on it anyway. But yeah, now that I know that they're doing that, and believe me, they can manipulate you in ways that you don't know when you're on there. You don't even see it happening. They do it over time, and they'll just kind of shift you in a certain direction. And before long, you'll be thinking things that you never would have thought to begin with. And they're not doing it one way. It's not like they're trying to turn you into one of the trans people or something like that. They also have people shifting you the other direction. So maybe if you're right-leaning, then they'll just make you go even more extreme in that direction. Because I think that for whatever reason, they seem to want to extreme everything. They want everybody to be on edge, and it's just absolutely crazy. Boy, my phone was just going off there. I'll have to see what's... nothing. Just a notification. Can we believe it? It's a notification from YouTube. Some other YouTuber is on there posting things and making my phone go off. I have no idea what it was. Probably something from the quartering, or maybe Tim Pool finished his show and it's telling me, hey, this is available, which would be interesting to see. Oh, here we go. There's something coming up here. Peter Ehinger again. Something happened in China. Things are happening. You know, I've been hearing this is. I try to be careful with what I say about China, because I see the news, like it'll always be coming out and saying there's, you know, the crematoriums are running overtime. You know, there's body bags and people dying all over the place. I have relatives in China that I talk to on a regular basis, and I hear none of this. I don't hear about people dying. There's no lockdowns. There's nothing going on as far as that's concerned. Business as usual. So I don't know. I've seen reports about deflation and that sort of thing, but they go to work. They have business. They do things, and it hasn't slowed down for them. So I don't know. I find it difficult to say too much, because I'm just not hearing what I'm seeing on the American internet, which makes me wonder where they're getting their information, because it's just not the same thing coming to me. I mean, if there were a bunch of people dying everywhere, believe me, they would be talking about it. They'd be like, oh my gosh, hey guys, don't come back to China right now because people are dying all over the place. Or, probably don't come back now. Believe me, they're always wanting me to come back. They would love for me to bring my son and come back to China right now. I almost did. There was a little business over there that wanted me to come and work and do some work for them, and they wanted to buy my flight, and they wanted me to come out. It was just too sudden. I mean, I almost went, but in the end, it's like my son is in school here. I don't really want to do that. But yeah, believe me, my in-laws were all about it. Like, yeah, come on out to China. But if that was happening, if the business outlook for the country was really, really bad, which it may be, I don't know, it may be. The government's pretty good at keeping things kind of secret, but I think that they would tell me, like, hey, no, don't, maybe hold off because people are dying all over the place. You guys are better off over there. But it's just not coming through. I'm just not hearing that stuff. So I don't know. Things do happen in China all the time. There are little protests that pop up here and there, but they usually get shut down pretty quick, as you might imagine. And they don't go very far. And the news about them does not spread. I remember an incident with someone that I worked with in China who, I guess that the local government stole the pension money or something like that. And, we're in Beijing, and she's like, well, I'm going to go talk to the government people here because I'm sure that they would do something about it. And it's like, I think they know about it. Don't go talk to them, because that's the worst thing you could do for your situation. You don't want to be talking to them about that. They don't want information about pensions being stolen or anything spreading around. They wouldn't like that. So I thought that was kind of, these things don't spread. So yeah, there's things that happen all the time, but let's see. It's hard to stick to Enlightenment philosophy in today's time. Yeah. Yeah, it is difficult to do. I mean, when people are pushing you in a direction, it's like you can't really afford to sit there and just, go along as though nothing. I don't know. It's really hard. I mean, if it really is as bad as it is, or as it appears to be, with people being taken off the ballots and all this crazy stuff going on, you feel like you can't afford to just sit there and, treat life as though everything is fine, because it might not be. Things might be going in a very bad direction. You just never know. Let's see. Barry Dingler, the world is crazy. It's not just you. I think, yes, we're all crazy together here. We've been driven insane by the craziness of the world. Whatever it happens to be, the whole thing just seems to be breaking down. The Matrix is broken. Like I said, somebody needs to talk to the machines and tell them to fix the Matrix. Maybe it's those aliens that are coming in, They need to fix the system, the zoo that they keep us in here, so that before it all comes crashing down. Or maybe that's the intention. We need to break this because, and in a way, I'm thankful to them for revealing just how bad things actually are, just how corrupt the system actually is, because it gives us a chance to actually fix it. I mean, if we didn't know, if we were going along thinking like, well, we just have to pick the better of two evils every election, and but at least we get to vote on something, none of this would be fixed. All of this horrible stuff would be going on in the background, and we would have no idea. They'd just be slowly taking our rights away. Which, I've had a conversation on Reddit earlier about that. Don't get on there. It's funny how people argue with you about, and you're like, you agree with me. You're arguing my points. You're just using different words. I had that happen. Somebody was talking about communism and seizing the means of production or something like that. And I'm like, what you think seizing the means of production is not what I'm thinking it is. You believe the same thing. You're just, using different words to mean the same thing. It was really bizarre because as far as I was thinking, when they take the means of production, it's like the government or a mob shows up to your, well, I guess I have to back up a little bit. I gave an example of, let's say you've lost your job and you're like, well, gosh, I've got to do something to make the rent. I have ingredients to make cookies. I always go to this one. And a stove. I'm going to cook some cookies and start selling them. And the next thing you know, the authorities show up at your house and, slap you with a fine and say, you can't do that unless you have a commercial kitchen. And, it has to be inspected and you have to have licenses. And that's not fair. I mean, how's any regular person going to be able to do that, especially under those circumstances? And I was just saying, I'd just like it if the government got out of the way so that regular people could do something. And they're like, well, isn't that, taking the means of production or something like that? And I'm like, no. But they insisted. So I thought, it'd be like if the government or a mob of people showed up at your house and took over your kitchen and said, now it's our kitchen. That would be seizing the means of production, right? What I was talking about was kind of the opposite, people being able to use their own resources to be able to take care of themselves rather than relying on the state, because, the state is not something to be relied upon. Let's see. Constitutional Carpenter, aliens, we're not due for aliens again till June. Yeah, I hope not. Let's, we'll see where that goes. I mean, they've been talking in the government apparently about having alien bodies and all of this crazy stuff, spaceships. I guess, what's his name, Bob Lazar, kind of being proven to be true about what he was saying, maybe a little bit, if this is accurate, what the government is saying. My limited knowledge of the UFO world. Let's see, Constitutional Carpenter again. The only way to truly seize the means of production is through capitalism. Well, see, this is where it was getting switched. I thought that, seizing the means of production is not good. I mean, I don't want anybody coming and see. If I am doing something and I paid for it and I built it, then I don't want somebody coming and taking it away from me. If I have a kitchen and I'm going to make stuff to try and do that, I don't want the government coming in and telling me, no, that's our kitchen now. And, it's for everybody else. And, grandma and grandpa in China, they lived through that. That's what happened in the Great Leap Forward. It's like the government comes in and says, we're going to take care of you now. So that house, that field, all that stuff is ours now. You will work on the field, and we will give you what we think you need. Which, well, it went really badly. If you want to go into history, go and look at what happened as a result of the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution that followed. It wasn't good. You don't want anybody coming in and seizing the means of production. You want to be able to have control of your stuff and your own resources. And you want to be as independent as you possibly can. And that's what the American dream was originally. It's not just about having a house and a car. It's about having it as your own. You know, this is mine, and I now have these resources that I can work with. I don't know how it turned into having massive loans and that sort of thing, but I guess that's where it ended up going. Peter Ehinger, if aliens were really here, it would be all over the news. Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess if that's what they wanted us to hear, the news has become nothing but propaganda at this point. It's so obvious, it's been made so apparent that it's nothing but propaganda that I don't think that I could ever go back to looking at the news and actually believing that it was, authentic ever again. CNN, for example, that's over. MSNBC was over a long time ago. Fox News, none of it. I can't see myself going back. Even the regular news, if I'm going to get on CBS or NBC Nightly News or something, I just have a hard time believing that any of that is the actual. I mean, sure, it's news stories, but some of the numbers might be, I don't know. They're leaving stuff out. They're reporting it in a funny way. I just can't find myself going back to trusting that ever again. If there were aliens and it benefited the powers that be to tell us that there were aliens, then sure, it'd be all over the news. Maybe if some crazy thing like the Epstein list, maybe they will come out with the alien stuff. That's when they're going to come out and show us the alien bodies in the spaceships. Like, here they are. Never mind about that island and that guy. Look at this. We have alien spaceships that we've had for the last, 75 years, and here's the bodies too. Oh, and we have some living ones. They're going to come and do interviews now. Something along those lines. Just never mind about that island and that guy, because, yeah. By the way, if it turned out that Jeffrey Epstein was working for the government in some capacity, would that open it up for victims to sue the federal government? I would think that it would. I mean, a lot of people are saying it looks like the guy was somehow connected with the intelligence agencies. If that's the case, then I would hope that they would sue the federal government. Just sue them. Well, boy, yeah, it's kind of sad that it comes to that. But, somebody's got to be held accountable for what has happened. And I don't care, all this stuff about too big to fail, right? I could see them coming out and saying, we can't prosecute Bill Clinton. He's too big to go to. We can't do that. That's national security, danger zone, something, I don't care. Justice is justice. The law is the law. And if nobody should be above the law. I hope that we can get things under control, at least as far as that's concerned. Nobody is above the law. So hopefully there is some justice in this. And if Bill Clinton or anyone else, Bill Gates or something, is trying to cover this up, then they need to pay the price for what they've done, even if that's dangerous to say. Like I said, you never know. They might show up and I better be careful. Anyway, let's see. We're past 11 o'clock here. Yeah, I probably better start wrapping this thing up. Let me see my list of crazy topics. War in Europe, that's another one. The war in Europe. Who would have imagined that there would be war in Europe? I mean, I heard a lot of people talk about it kind of, like back when I used to watch the news, they'd be talking about, Putin, he's coming for the whole continent. He's not satisfied with whatever. He's going to go for the whole thing. I have to wonder, I didn't think that it would actually come to this, where there'd be war in Europe. Of course, they've been talking about World War III for quite some time. It hasn't materialized. I understand that Ukraine is doing quite badly right now. They're not talking about that in the news, despite all the billions and billions of dollars that we've sent over there. They seem to be doing quite badly at the moment, and I'm not sure what that even means. I don't know if Russia's actually trying to take territory, if they're trying to take territory back, if they're just sitting there getting hit with rockets and nothing is happening. I really don't know because they don't report on it very well. It's very strange. I remember when they invaded Iraq, as the tanks were going across the desert, they were live streaming from the tanks. Where is all the video? I mean, with the cell phones and stuff that we have nowadays, how is it that I don't see footage everywhere of all this crazy stuff? Unless somebody's really, really making sure that information doesn't come out for some reason because they don't want us to know how badly it's going. They don't want us to know whatever. But I would like to know what has been happening with all that money they took. Let's see, Constitutional Carpenter, they pulled the alien card last year during the spy balloon. The East Palestine train derailment, the bank failures, just put that into perspective. I know. Like I said, if it really gets bad with the island stuff, maybe that's when they actually bring out the real stuff. Like, okay, here's the alien stuff. Just never mind about the island and all the people on the list. Just never mind about that. Look at this. We have alien tech. I don't know. Lockheed Martin's got an alien spaceship hidden away in Texas. I didn't say that. Don't go to the Lockheed Martin place in Texas looking for alien stuff. Please don't do that. But let's see. Peter Anger, it's all like a bad movie. It is. That's what it really is. It's like a bad movie. I should be back in my life in China. By now I would have had the restaurant going. We would have had all this stuff going. And instead I'm here and talking on the internet. I guess this is where it has taken us. Back here. Sucked back into the whole crazy mess of everything. But like I said, just make sure that you stay off of social media because I'm telling you, the manipulation that takes place there, it's absolutely bonkers. You don't want to get your mind exposed to all of that nonsense. I mean, and nobody is immune. I mean, the people that I follow, that I watch for news, I mean, they're subject to it as well. Anyone who's on social media, you're going to be subject to this manipulation. Anyone who's consuming the news from even the mainstream media, you're being subjected to manipulation of some kind. It's hard to tell what's real and what's not. It's just a total mess. And what in the world is on the screen behind me? That's bizarre. That's not, somebody carrying a kid. It's supposed to be my videos. I don't know what it's playing, but it's supposed to be my videos. Oh, it is. Okay, there's me. Never mind. It is my videos. I just forgot about that one. Some time long ago in China, probably. My son and whatnot. He's grown quite a bit since then. He's much taller. Boy, he grows fast. Kids, they grow so fast. I get him a pair of clothes, and the next thing I know, they're too, like the pants are too short. It's like, no, it's better than before. He would just I'd get him a pair of pants, and like a couple days later, they were ripped all to pieces because he'd just be playing outside, Now, at least that doesn't happen, but he grows so fast that they don't fit very long. But let's see, go back to this list and see if I've. Oh, yes, and the war drums in Asia and South America. I don't know if that's ever going to materialize. They've been talking about it, and I've been even talking about it, the potential for China to invade Taiwan. I don't think that they actually will. I don't think they're in a position now to be able to do that. It would just cost way too much to be able to do that, and they don't know what repercussions would come as a result. They're just not ready to do that, and I think that they'll talk big. So I don't think that we need to worry about that so much. However, this business in South America that came up with, I don't know. They're talking about war in South America being a real possibility. I don't know if that's going to, who knows if it'll materialize. Maybe the United States saying that they would, back up the other country was enough to stop the craziness from taking place. But, yeah, war all over the place. Who knows? I hope that it doesn't materialize. I hope that we just come back to a normal world. Maybe in 2024, Donald Trump wins, and somehow we find ourselves back in normal reality where we can just go back to work and not worry about all the crazy stuff. But in either case, I've been talking long enough, and my battery on my computer apparently is about to die, so that means the camera is probably also about to die. So I better end it here. Hopefully, guys enjoyed what we did talk about. I enjoyed the conversation with all of you. I guess I'll see you guys in the next one if I can find the... where is that thing? There we go.